Well, hello again. So we left the last video off working on the lumber to finish the roof. So we're actually going to start this video off bright and early in the morning. And the first thing I have to do is fix the eave that's off-center. So I've got some blocks that I attached to the top of the eave so that it can slide up and down along the purlins. And then I have to come back through and undo all of the screws. And then I can move the screws to new holes, or some of them we're able to just use the existing hole and they're now in a different spot in the purlin. But I'll put all of those in once I get that done. There was two of them though that did not want to come undone. So I've got to come down and get some additional tools to make that screw removal. One of them ended up actually bending somehow as I was trying to remove it, which was weird. And then I don't actually remember at this point why the other one, but I had to remove two of them, which is kind of annoying. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, is pounding that out. Then I can slide that back down so it's butted up against the fascia and put it back together. And even just, this is the most terrifying part of any build is doing the roofing. It's a little weird. I'm not necessarily afraid of heights, but I'm terrified of ledges. And it doesn't matter how big the ledge is. I get nervous walking down stairs. I think I may have mentioned that in previous videos. I don't remember. But so now I did the same thing on the other side, so you can see the blocks there to allow that to slide up and down. And going forward now, on the next one, I know to just start with those blocks so I can adjust that back and forth and then lock it into place once we get it perfect. But as I was saying, I don't know that there's any single defining event that caused this fear, other than I'm a little bit of a klutz, always have been. I tend to trip fairly easily. I tend to sprain my ankles and joints quite easily. But yeah, being up on roofs quite literally is terrifying to me. Almost to the point of debilitatingly so, but I just kind of force myself to do what I gotta do. So what I'm doing now is, now that it's in position, I was just going through and putting in the I was using some smaller construction screws to hold everything in place, and then I used some 8-inch, 6 or 8-inch, depending on what I was working on. But RSS screws. I guess they're all technically RSS screws, but anyway, just to make sure that everything's locked in and pulled together. So now we gotta screw that the fascia to the eave. And leveling ladders on unlevel ground is always a challenge. And I brought a clamp just to make sure everything, that they were perfectly in line with each other. And the same thing, put a bunch of smaller screws, and then because I don't know, trust the smaller screws, I guess, throw in a big one just to be 100% certain that it's not going anywhere. Now we're going to work on the the fascia for the, technically I guess that'd be the passenger side of the room, the trailer, the west side there. And this will take both of us, as I was mentioning in the last video, showed you the little block that we end up using to position everything. That dogwood that I was saying might have to go, ended up definitely having to go so that we could get the ladder into position to do that safely and securely. Which is a little on the sad side. We're trying to, not demolish any more than we have to, but on the flip side, 16 acres of our forest is on its way out because of the emerald ash borer. So our properties over the next 10 years is going to have complete drastic changes anyway, so we do what we can, I guess, to try and minimize that and just keep it the way that it, keep it as natural and native as we can. One of the nice parts about the ash forest dying will be that, depending on how we do it, it'll actually give us the opportunity to actually get rid of the canary grass that has invaded that area, that portion of the property. Because wherever there isn't a tree right now, we can cut that canary grass out, like actually dig down into the ground, till it, completely remove it, get rid of it, get other stuff planted in that spot, throw the trees that we actually want growing in that area and get them planted. And then once the ash tree actually comes down and we clean all that up, we'll dig out the roots and do the exact same thing there. So it'll theoretically give us the option to completely remove that kind of invasive canary grass and actually the blackberries in the areas that we don't want them. So, alright, what we've got going on now is that I changed how the boards were going to go up, so the fascia is on the ends of all of the rafters and the eaves, and I'd originally planned that the eaves would actually extend down and cover the end grain of the fascia, so we actually have to modify that a little bit and then measure to get the actual length of the fascia board. So that's what we're doing now, is just getting that cut and prepped. And as I was saying a minute before, though, the fear of ledges is kind of it seems weird to me, because everybody, or maybe it's just everybody else thinks it's weird. I don't know. Maybe this is what fear of heights really is, and I just don't know. But like, I can be on anything high as long as there's no ledge, and it doesn't matter how high the ledge is. Like, we as scouts, when I was a kid, we'd go rock climbing or rappelling, things like that, and I could be the belayer, so I'm up at the top, I've got the rope going around my back, and I'm controlling the speed of the rope in case they lose their grip and fall, or slip or whatever. And I'm totally fine because I'm anchored myself to a tree behind me. Uh, I, all day long can sit and do that. No problems. No problems whatsoever. Then it comes my turn to belay, and I'm strapped in, I'm tied in, I know I've got the belayer up there, I've got no chance of, falling, and as soon as I get close to that ledge, the blood drains from my head. And then, like, I'm crawling, like crawling on my belly to over the edge, and I know now that, like, because of the fear, the actions that I was taking actually make getting into position more difficult. But I couldn't do it. So once I'm over the ledge, though, and my weight is now completely past the ledge, that fear is gone. And I can rock climb, I can belay, I can rappel. We went, as I had a friend when I was I don't know, a young adult. I was 20, 21, I believe. And I called him up one day, and I was feeling daring. And I said, hey, he had wanted to go. If you're familiar with the Salt Lake area, this is when the 49th Street Galleria was still around, and they had their rappelling tower. They're not rappelling, bungee jumping tower that they had for a few years. And he had wanted to go several times. He tried to convince me, and I don't know what happened. One day it was a Friday night, Friday or Saturday, I don't remember, but it was a weekend, and didn't have any plans, and I didn't plan on any plans, and I was just sitting there being lazy, and I had the thought, you know what? Let's go see what bungee jumping's really about. So I called him up and I said, hey, I'll make you a deal. You cover the cost of the tickets so that in my head I'm not paying to jump off of a building, and I will buy you the fanciest steak dinner we can. And he was like, deal. So we did. We went up there, and it was, I want to say it was an 9-story, I think it was a 9-story bungee tower. And we went through all the lessons, got all hooked up in the harness and safety checked and everything, and then you head up the tower, and we're walking and we're climbing the stairs, and I'm starting to get a little nervous. And we're going up the stairs and getting a little more nervous. We get to the halfway point, and the whole time you're going up, you're watching people come down. Just getting more and more and more nervous. And we get to the top, and the employees can see how pale I am, and one of them came over and put his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, you okay? And I said, yep, let's just get this over with, let's get this done. And he's like, you ever done this before? And I said, no. So the instructions that I was given were to take the bungee cord that gets hooked up to your back, to the harness, basically at the small of your back, and he said to bear hug the bungee cord, and when they say to go, to just close my eyes and take 2 steps and walk off. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So I'm standing there a foot and a half away from the ledge, and I'm squeezing the life out of this bungee cord, and I gotta pause that story for a second. So I got distracted, obviously, but we got the eaves up, as you can see. This is now the afternoon, so I have the the metal cut, and I'm getting ready to actually put the metal up. So prepping everything and just working on that. Emily's help was quite crucial. So I figured that I would stand them up, and then I could just reach through the roof and pull them up. So I've got them all positioned where they need to be. So back to the story. So I'm standing there, and I've got my eyes closed, and I'm bear hugging the life out of this giant rubber band cord, and I'm trying not to think at all about anything. I'm just standing there, just listening for the instructor, and I hear the safety check person say clear, meaning that the jumper before me had gotten off the safety net and was now clear. And the guy's standing there holding my shoulder, and he says, "Okay, go," and lets go of my shoulder, and I didn't even think about it. I took a step with my right foot, and then I took a step with my left foot, and there was nothing there. My eyes were closed. I'm holding this cord, and all of a sudden I'm free falling. To this day, I have no idea what I said. I have no idea how loud I screamed. I have no idea what my vocal cords were actually doing. I know I was making sound, and that I was mortified. Like I literally thought I was dying, and that my life was ending. And it seems like it truly felt like so long. I mean, the whole fall took a course of like what, 6-9 seconds tops, 10 seconds, I guess. I don't know. And when I rebounded, I instinctively opened my eyes and saw the ground falling away from me, and the safety of this giant trampoline net getting further away from me, and that just redoubled my screams. Because it was like the safety of the end of the fall was being ripped away from me. And then I rebounded a couple more times and finally caught my breath. And when I was alert enough to know, to look around, I can't make this up. It was a busy night. It was a busy place. Every single person was staring at me, and it was silent aside from me. And my friend, he went after me. So they lower the cord, and I get into the net, and then I get off the net, and I get out into the queue, and I'm sweating. I'm like pale. I'm thinking, okay, that was the worst, most terrifying, unbelievable thing that I have ever done, and I have 2 more jumps that I have to go to. Oh, it was some stakes well earned. The second jump, I'll tell you about in a minute, because I gotta bring up a photo here for you, because I want you to see what I'm seeing as I'm going along. So now that I've got the first couple panels up in place, you can see here this is my view as I'm working here, and I'll get another couple of shots as I keep going, because I knew that the camera angle where it's at wouldn't really be all that conducive to actually seeing the progress all that well. So the second jump, I get up there, and the safety check person and the instructor were both looking at me like, you're really gonna do this again? he just walks over and says, okay, so clearly that didn't go so well. And I was like, yeah, no, let's not do that again. And he said, okay, so the next most popular method, if you're afraid of heights or jumping or whatever, is that you stand with your heel to the edge, and we stand here and hold, and when it's ready, we just lean you backwards. You stare at me while I do it, and then I'll count to 3 and let go. And I was like, okay, I guess let's try that. And I don't know if it was because I already had experienced the blind fall into nothingness of the blind fall. I can't even think of good adjectives to use at the moment. Or because maybe it really was a better way to do it. I don't know if it was a better way. I don't know why he would have suggested the other way first. But anyway, regardless. So we did that, and I'm standing there being held backwards, and the longer he's holding me, the more scared I'm getting. And he finally gets the okay and let's go. And I didn't scream as bad. I'd say I yelled a little bit. I'm pretty sure I swore that time. It was at least understandable. I got off. My buddy came down. Took a few minutes to compose myself and headed back up, and away we went. So the third time, he was like, well, did that work better? And I said, it was better, but I'd prefer not to do that again. And he said, well, the other way to do it is to just stand there and I lean you forward so you actually see what's going on, and then you just jump. And I was like, okay, let's just do it. So I still yelled. I don't think I swore the third time. But yeah, we sat around and talked about where to go, and agreed that at the time, at least, the best steaks in the area were the Black Angus restaurant in Sandy. So that's where we ended up going, and we dined well. It was a very, very terrifying ordeal. Mandate, I guess you could call it, whatever. I think in the back of my head I kind of wanted it to be somehow like a way to try and overcome the fear of ledges. I don't know. So here in the video, though, back to the modern day. Where we're at now is I've got the complete left side of the roofing up, and I'm starting to get pretty concerned because, as you can see, it's getting dark, and that's not all from the sun going down. So I know one of the things that I'm going to have to work on while I'm up there is the ridge cap, and since this roofing was actually given to us, it was a huge blessing that we found this in the pile of old roofing, these 20 foot long sheets. I mean, we made sure that he was aware they were there, and he still gave it to us. It's a trade, as I've talked about in the equipment trailer videos. We traded the pile of sheet metal and the trailer for going to help him clean up his property, which we'll do here in another month or two once it starts to dry out. Although his property might actually be dry enough that as soon as I get the trailer decked, we could probably go do some work. But anyway, since we don't have a ridge cap at the time when I did this video, we were just trying to make sure we got everything up and in place. I figured I could go back after the fact and put the ridge cap on, but I needed something just to make sure no rain came through the gap between the panels. So I took some other material, sheet metal, and found some sections that didn't have any holes through, from screws in them, and I'm just taking those and put some butyl tape at both ends and just sealing them together with that butyl tape, and I'll run those along. So I had to make sure I got that up there before I started working on this side of the roof, so that it was up there and I could just throw a couple panels up and then put a ridge cap on and throw a couple more panels up and put the ridge cap on and keep working my way across. So that's that was that pause there for a moment. And here's a quick view of what it's looking like from underneath. It's definitely looking like a pole barn roof, which, is good since that's the way this is being built. I'd be a little worried if it looked like something else. But you can see those clouds. They're starting to get a little bit thick and dark. And so without actually trying to rush, I'm trying to make sure I get everything done as quick as I can, because I don't want to have the rain pouring on anything any more than I have to. And I particularly don't want to be up there in the rain. So I just keep working, and it was after this third panel when it started to drizzle just a little bit. There's what we call a Washington rain, which is the most common type of rain we get. It's just kind of like almost a heavy mist, and I can go out and I can work in that rain for 2 hours and just be barely wet. But it's technically raining, and the raindrops are so tiny that they just don't really affect anything. And that's kind of the way this started. And then by the time I actually finished with the last panel, and got the as I was putting the ridge cap on the very end, it actually started to pour. So I literally got this done just in the nick of time. And this is the view of what the ridge cap looks like. It's actually held up better than I anticipated, but I know I have to replace this because these ribs running along the roof are actually they do hold a little bit of water. That's one of the reasons I did the butyl tape in between each layer. There's actually 2 strips of butyl tape on each piece, so as they're overlapped, they will make sure that they're nice and solid and secure. They'll keep the water from seeping in. And I was up there. I just kept thinking, I'm so close. I just need to get this last little bit. And I know that I've mentioned previously that the GoPro does horrible when it comes to dim light situations. So it is brighter up there than the footage actually shows, but it is to the point where I'm up there thinking this is too dark to be on a roof. So I'm working on getting some lights. You just can't see me walking around to actually get the lights turned on. But this is nearing the end of the GoPro footage, which is good because the GoPro footage lasted as long as it took me to build the roof. So we're actually nearing the end of the footage or the end of putting the roofing up. And I've got some cell phone footage of just showing around underneath and whatnot, and that was after I had done some time recomposing myself. But here's a photo of underneath now that's actually in place. When I finally got done and was off the roof and could finally relax, it was hard to literally not cry while I was recording this footage of showing around.
All right. As you can see, it is raining and I am dry. We're trying to do as much as we can using what we have available. So the ridge cap is going to have to be replaced. It is not ridge cap. It's used roofing panels that I cut sections in between the screw holes so I could get it up there. And after I got about halfway done, I realized, because the ribs run parallel to the ridge, they're gonna collect water. I did put two strips of butyl tape and then marked where I did that so that screws are attaching. Each rib has a screw tying them together. Hopefully that'll be enough to keep the water out, but I am going to definitely have to climb up there and pull that down at some point. But for now, it'll at least keep us dry in here for the most part. We'll see if there's anywhere that it does actually leak, and I'll fix that. We'll deal with that when we have to. I don't profess to be a professional builder. This is a trailer, but for all functionality, I mean, it's a shed basically. And this is the third one. This is the second one that I built. And I am definitely improving and learning and getting better. The first panel started out, and I ended up going all the way across pretty much straight, being able to keep a nice line across the bottom. And by the time I got to this end, I measured from the edge of the eave to the edge of the second to last panel on both sides, and along the top purlin, this panel ended at 34 inches. On the bottom purlin, this panel ended at 33 inches. Sorry, 33 and 32, and 34 and 33. So that's pretty close. It's close enough that I'm not worried about it. So now I can start working on other stuff and be out of the rain. And it won't matter. I don't have to rush when there's daylight. I don't have to rush now. Sorry, when there's rain, I don't have to rush when there's daylight either, because now I can set my my work lights. I could actually set them up here on one of the cross beams, and shine the light up on the ceiling, and it'll illuminate everything down here. Put one on either end of the space, and this will light up as good as daylight. So I'm super excited about that. It means that I actually have a spot now where, as I mill things to build, for instance, the floor, that's going to take a lot of lumber. I'm going to take some pieces of cottonwood, and I'll put a board of cottonwood down in here, just simply because it's light and easy to work with, and I have a plethora and more readily available. Then we'll put insulation on top of that, and then we'll put an actual fir subfloor. And then I can throw the purlins up, or the girts, and the board and batten can go up whenever I want, because the girts will be on the outside of the posts, and then the board and batten will be on the outside of that. So the board and batten will actually attach to the floor joists, the rim joist. So yeah, I could actually enclose at least this end of it. I got to build the slide out type side here, so this will actually extend. There will be a raised floor here. It'll be 6 inches, and that'll cantilever out on both sides 2 feet past the rim joist, and then that'll come up and in, so that we have a 12-foot wide section by basically almost a little over 8 feet. No, a little less than 8 feet, because it'll be just inside of the 2 joists. So it'll be like 7 3/4 feet deep and 12 feet across, so that we can put a bed here. And then we'll have walking space all the way around the queen size bed, and the bump out will have built-in closets and a window. So we will multiply our current storage space for clothes by 10 times, because there will be 4. Right now we have 2 1-foot wide closets that are just tall enough to put to hang most clothes. A full dress won't fit there. We will have 4, basically 3 basically the same size, but they'll be 2 feet, or the same height but 2 feet wide. So we'll have 6 feet instead of 2 feet, and then one of those will actually be full length all the way to the floor for full dresses. And then we'll have drawers underneath the window, 3 drawers and 3 drawers high and 3 sets of drawers. And then same thing over here, only this one will have 4 sets of drawers, because my side won't need to be, I don't need, full length dresses. But that's what the plan is. This is going to be my office. So we'll have the computer monitors on the wall here. We'll have a couch here so that we can actually watch movies and things on the TV/big monitor. There will be a wood-burning stove here. Maybe here, but probably here. Actually, I take that back. It'll probably be over here, because if I'm working at the computer, I'm not going to want that right next to me. I'm going to want it close, but not right next to me. And then this will be an entertaining area. We'll have a round table, little seat 6. I'm not going to do a bump out on this side, but we probably will do small bay windows, just so there's a little shelf for, herbs, plants, whatever. Oh, I am beyond relieved. This rain started, it started trying to rain when I started the second half. So it was just barely wet enough that I started to slide just a little bit as I was doing the first few panels, and then it stopped, and then when I got to about the fourth from the last panel, it started to really come down. And so these last 4 panels were all put up actually in the rain. So this is a huge step forward and a huge relief. My only regret is that some of these are kind of dirty. So I will probably get the pressure washer and just hurry and pressure wash those, and then not do anything in here for a couple of days to let everything dry. I wish I'd have, well, I wish I'd have had time. I mean, it's only a couple of them, but wish I'd have had time to make sure and pressure wash those, but as you can tell, I ran out of time as it is. Anyway, yeah, this is our spare room trailer. Yeehaw!